welcome to another episode of Changing Lanes. Today I'm here with Petrina Byrne, which was really weird to say. How are you?
Well, yeah, I think hearing you say my name just really confuses me. It throws me off.
So historically, you're often referred to as Mama P. Uh, so, we'll kind of jump ahead a little bit to how we met. So we met at the International Fitness Summit in 2022 in Lisbon, in Portugal. I remember that night very well. Up and I came to like a solo traveler meetup, and you were already there. I basically saw the group and had someone there, and he pinged me his like live location, and I'm like, I know that's definitely them. Walked the other way. I was like, no, definitely not. I wasn't at a brilliant point in my life at that point in time. Yeah, I walked the other way, and then eventually I kind of plucked up the courage and I came over and started like chatting. I was chatting to Luke because I knew that he was going to be there, and I'm chatting to a few guys I knew were about, and then I hear this loud Mancunian twang coming from somewhere. Like, who's that? That's what I remember thinking. Oh, who's that then? You appear just kind of out of nowhere. I was like, oh, hello, who's this person with green hair?
Oh, it was green then, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So who's this? And we kind of like sort of like formed like little groups and whatnot, and went to this bar. And I remember that we started talking, and as the night went on, it was only me and you left because we pissed everyone else off, and we eventually got abandoned. But we were just there like shit and ad libbing. And at this point in my life, I felt so like down and low on myself. And I don't know if you remember it, but I remember it very vividly. And I asked you, why is someone like you giving me the time of day? And like we had a big. I remember we had a big talk about it and everything like that. And I like that's how I wanted to start today. It was like basically saying a massive thank you for that precise moment in time, because like that started to like reignite a little bit of a flame within me, get a little bit of my spice and my sauce back. So that's how I wanted to start today. Because yeah, like I look back on that so like fondly and hold that time of my life really like it's like a really special moment. And you were at the center of it. So thank you.
Oh, that's actually very cute. How I remember that night is, well, first of all, we had very different vibes. So I also felt extremely nervous going up to that group. But my kind of thing is when I feel nervous, I'm just gonna make it worse and throw myself into the situation. I and Sam Grove actually brings up this quite frequently as one of the like not like basically like one of his favorite moments of me because it's like just for me it was brave, but like yeah, also stupid. So I literally walked up to this big group of circle of people, and I had my beach towel with me, and I just said, "Hey, everyone, look at my towel. Live, laugh, limp biscuit." And then I just put it down and I just sat down. And then I was like, all right, cool. So after meeting you, I remember us just chatting, and I remember coming away from that being like, oh, he's got such potential, like, and he just doesn't see it in himself, and blah blah. And that's why I gave you the time of day, because I was just like, why is this guy being a little bitch about himself when he's actually got potential? So it's interesting that we came away with basically like, yeah,
And then do you remember what happened later that night?
huh?
Do you remember what happened after that?
No,
We were drinking neat rum out of a PB Fitness shaker in Lewis's room.
remember. I remember that very well, actually.
I left it because I didn't stay at the same hotel as you guys. I got an Airbnb and I'm walking away and I'm like, what the fuck? It was 3 a.m. by the time that I left. I think
Yeah,
you might have gone before I did, and me and Lewis were just sitting there chatting.
I definitely left you in Lewis because I remember thinking, Jesus Christ, because we're in Lewis's room, right? Yeah. So I was like, I was dead an hour ago. I'm going home.
Yeah, and I remember him like leaving and walking back at like 3 a.m. and I was like, what on earth? Like, that was like it's supposed to be at those sort of events. It's supposed to be like the Friday and the Saturday night. It's supposed to be the fucking ones where it gets a bit loose. And I'm like, I just peaked too early. But yeah, so that's how we met. And like you were a very maternal figure in that like on that trip, and that's kind of where Mama P and several fully grown adults refer to you as Mama P. So
I'm so okay with it. I feel like there's just some of you that bring out my mother hen instincts.
Amazing. So, first thing that I want to talk to you about is finding your weird, finding your own little bit of the world. Now, I find it very interesting to how you kind of came to that stage. Now, like for those of you on the video, you can see Petrina's got, bright orange mullet, which is strong. It's better than mine. Mine needs a trim. But how did you get to start to live out kind of the weirdness that is like deep within inside you?
So I feel like even the way I ended up coming into the fitness industry is it all kind of came from a bit of a shit show. Like none of it really came from like oh, this is something that I love and I'm gonna come and do. I used to work in education. So did that for years. That's where I focused my degree. Like that's just what I did and what I thought I'd do until I retired. I ended up working somewhere that was incredibly toxic. At the time, I was also in an incredibly toxic relationship. At that time, I was also drinking more than I should. I had recently found that I liked mayonnaise, which is relevant to the fact that I put on a lot of weight. Uh, Full fat Coke and mayonnaise are the main reasons why I put on lots of weight. Because why is mayonnaise so high in calories? Yes, binge eating like became worse, like everything just got bad. So I was just kind of hit rock bottom and I was like, okay, cool. Let's start with something I can control easily. I'm gonna start losing weight. So I started with like Slimming World and all these other delightful tactics that people shouldn't bother with. But I did like basically end up quitting all that and was just like, I'm just gonna learn how to do this myself. Did all the research, like figured out how to lose weight, figured out how to train in the gym, and then I felt good. Then I started helping a few people do the same thing, teaching some of my friends and stuff like that. And then they were seeing results, and I was like, this is so much fun. And then I was like, well, I hate my job. Look at how much it costs to train to be a personal trainer. So I did that alongside teaching, which was hell on earth in itself because you don't need to deal with kids 5 to 6 days a week and then also do 2 days a weekend doing PT stuff because you realize very quickly that that course is absolutely ridiculous and of no use to anyone if wants to spend time with the person. I'd say I've done much more learning on the job than I did in my qualification, but that is beside the point. So I like left my partner at the time. I quit my job and literally had enough money to be like, if I don't make this work in 3 months, I'm gonna lose my house. And I was like, cool, I'll make it work. So I started like PTing and I still looks pretty normal at this point because I'd obviously come from teaching. We have to like not have green hair and a mullet and full sleeves and everything else that's going on with this right now. So I came into the industry looking kind of normal and it was semi paying off. Like I was getting by and then I wanted to move online. Started working with a coach that basically told me that if I do want to do well, I have to keep looking normal. Because he'd noticed that I had like I think I dyed my hair like a light purple or something at this point, like not even yeah,
On a Friday morning, everyone's got a purple rinse.
exactly. I'm just waiting to live my best like granny life. And anyway, so like, I started to get a few more tattoos. It was already getting obvious that I wasn't quite like the average woman in the industry. But yeah, so I got told to go do a photo shoot, buy loads of Gymshark, look as normal as possible, and it'll pay off. And then it did. It did pay off, annoyingly. I acted normal, started to make more money, started bringing in clients that I didn't relate to at all because they all just wanted fat loss as quick as humanly possible. And they all had like, right, okay, this is no offense to anyone else because I understand that I'm the niche in this situation, but like, they all were like, oh my God, so I'm going to see Taylor Swift this weekend and I'm going to go and go bongo bingo, whatever it's called, or like all these things that like I just have no interest in. Like, it's not that they're not fun things, but I just have absolutely no interest in those activities. And I was like, I don't even like talking to these people. Like they were nice enough. Some of them were also massive assholes. I downplayed the swear word I was going to use because it's your podcast. I hope you appreciate this.
But the swearing's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, so I toned it down. But yeah, and then basically I was ready to kind of leave the industry. I was doing all right for money. I was quite comfortable. I was happy with the amounts I was making. but I just didn't like love coaching. So I thought this probably just isn't for me. Like I can quit this, I can go back into education, I could do something else, I could do something else. Well, I started following Lewis on Instagram and saw that he's a complete weirdo. And I thought, you know what? He's doing all right. Maybe I can be weird too. Started working with another coach who was literally like, no, be yourself, be weird. The right people will come to you. Now I love my clients. They're all tapped in the head. They're all like you could line us up in just a rainbow of hair colours, like barely a blank piece of skin for tattoos. Even the ones that look like normal aren't. Like they've all got really mad interests. Like loads of my clients are just playing D&D. Like the way I get my clients to do cardio is Pokemon Go walks. Like all the things that make me happy. So I just like absolutely love coaching. So the more I went into just being me, the better clients I got, the more I started enjoying my job again. And the more I enjoy being myself. Like I don't feel like I'm walking around the earth just like pretending all the time. Like, yeah, it didn't suit me.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot in that what you said there about the walking around pretending, creating this image you knew deep down and like by the natural attraction of you to a person like Lewis, uh,
Yeah.
big to like, if you're sitting there just pressing it and not talking about and living out these interests, like it is torturous. So do you remember like a specific turning point that you were like, nah, this needs to change?
It was actually with like the second business coach that I had. And it was on the first call that I ever had with him because he said he got like I told him what I wanted to do, and I was like, "You're going to tell me I can't do it because I've been told I can't do it by loads of people." I said, "But this is what I want. I want to work with weirdos. I want to work with people who don't fit the norm. I don't want to talk about fat loss and calories all the time. I want to just be like, oh, guess what? We can pick up these things and be strong. And Mewtwo could be our body goals. And if all the normies listening don't know who Mewtwo is, look Mewtwo up, body goals. But like I've been told as well I needed to pick like a gender for niche. And I was like, I can't pick a gender for niche. Half my clients are non-binary. Like, that's already fucking pointless. Like I've got trans clients, men and women. I've got male clients, female clients, non-binary clients, gender fluid clients. Like if I pick a gender, I'm getting rid of half my I was like, it's just I can't get how a gender is a niche. And he literally turned around to me and was like, no, you don't need to gender down your niche. Your niche is already niche enough with it just being weirdos. Like I actively say that I work with weirdos. I call my clients my weirdos. And it's like taking back ownership of the word. But he got dead excited and I told him this and he literally pulled up some 90s cartoon like starting sequence. I can't remember like what it's called now. It's some sort of like ragdoll thing. But basically, where there's like a reject bin and it's like all the normal little dolls coming through and then there's one little proper weird raggedy like random doll that gets thrown in the reject bin. He was like, that's you, paused it, that's you, you're the reject bin. And I was like, yeah, I'm the reject bin.
It's the lovely language in this conversation, isn't it? Yeah. Win on the reject bit.
But for me it was just like I'd never had somebody affirm the fact that that's what I should do. And it's the same thing like when I first met my partner, we had a Zoom call to talk about business. I mean, it's all part of my ploy to make him fall in love with me, obviously, but it worked. It's fine. But I was giving him like loads of business advice, and he'd had the same thing. He's like, "Oh, I've been told I shouldn't like goff it up, and I shouldn't do this, and I shouldn't do that." And I said, "No, I goff it up more. Do more of this, like make a joke about the fact that all your drink is Monster, like make content about that, make this." And he started doing it and like his business started to grow as well because he also just needed that one person to affirm that you can be yourself and make money and run your business because there's enough people out there that are like us. Like so many of my clients have needed coaches for years and haven't had one because they don't feel comfortable working with somebody who is only eating salads and is like head to toe like in Gymshark, looking perfect in the gym every day. Whereas like today, even for this podcast, I was like, I look tired. I should probably throw on some lashes or something, or like blah blah. And I was like, nah, I can be put online and not look perfect because it doesn't matter. So yeah, I think just having that one person like firm what I thought and my feelings around things just massively helped.
Amazing. And I think what you we're saying here about like you should do this, you shouldn't do that, and it just you start to live in this world. I hate it when I hear those words. It's like you end up in this like world of obligation. And think about it like now, I always come back to it. Like, what do I feel obliged to do? Like deep down, strip away the shoulds, the shouldn't, the like thoughts of other people. Like you never want to do it. Well, I should do this. I shouldn't do that. I should, eat this. I shouldn't do that.
My entire business, that is my business that I started, that I ran, became nothing but obligation because I was being told how to run it, what was best. And now I don't coach like everybody else. And I've been told by numerous people, like, oh, you shouldn't know the ins and outs of your client's life. You shouldn't be so personal with them, blah, blah, blah. I need to be because I need to know what's going on with them and why they're not training. And I want to be because I like them as people. I mean, my clients and I are painful oversharers, but guess who's getting them results? Me. I might know every time they've had a poo in the last week, but we're also making results because we've been eating enough fibre. And you know what? That was one of our goals, and we're doing well with it. And yeah, if they're in Manchester, I'll go and meet them for a drink and things like that. And I've been told so much that like clients shouldn't be friends. Some of my best friends that I've made in the past few years have been through clients. And I just think I actually don't have a boss. If this ends up biting me in the arse, it ends up biting the arse. It's only myself I've got to answer to. And I don't know why I was ever, if you go through my Instagram feed, you will not find other coaches unless they're like my friends, or you don't see any fitness content on like, the whatever the feed's called, that's just like the discovery page or whatever it is. Nothing but goth baddies. Just alternative women, memes, fantastic behavior. Like, I have just curated my business and my life to be exactly how I want it to be now. And to some people, it's horrendous. And to me, it's bloody wonderful.
Yeah, it ultimately comes back to like, and it's something that I learned when I started to learn about business was like the polarized to monetize. But
Yeah.
like, there's people that are so turned off by like even like the music that you use over your posts, the things that you talk about, the people that like it's not going to be you, but like that's okay. Like that's genuinely very beneficial to you in your business. The fact that you talk about veganism and then you like say that I'm a bad vegan, like it's
That post, Harvey, I nearly took it down. Things I do as a bad vegan. Obviously, I was joking because I don't think any of them make me a bad vegan. I think it just makes me a person that's trying to be vegan and I don't really care what anyone else eats. I got death threats. I got called a paedophile.
that's
Because
not.
apparently, if I will cook meat for other people, I would watch somebody abuse a child.
I think there's some loss in translation here. There's you know veganism.
That post got me a new client and it got me a bunch of new followers that all think the same way I do around veganism, is that we're going to be our best vegan as possible, but we'll not be perfect. And then it got me, I would say, about 20. I got a lot of negative comments, but I'd say at least 20 that were quite aggressive and violent and descriptive. But then this is the thing, like, I can't keep everybody happy. But then because I've done that, I've annoyed 90% of the vegans in the world, but that 10% are my people. And they're the ones I want in. So I don't care if 20 million vegans now want me dead. Cool. I've now got like 100 vegans that are like, oh my gosh, you're making veganism seem so much more accessible. Thank you so much. Thanks for saying what I want to say. So yeah, I don't care too much for other people's thoughts anymore.
And like every time I have like a conversation on the podcast, like ultimately there's a level of it comes back to that of like not caring about what other people think, and that can look so different and different in different guises. Monday I spoke to a therapist. Like a couple of weeks ago I spoke to like an ex rugby player. There's lots of this that's coming back and comes into this like don't like don't care what people think, which seems like really generic advice, and I wish I could kind of spin it in a new way, but like
It is generic advice, but I think if it's paired with actionable things, it's like it makes it a bit easier. So I talk to my clients a lot about this, and I've done it a lot more this week. So obviously I've had quite a hellish week, and honestly, I've just laughed my way through it, and it's not actually stressed me out very much because I'm very much in the mindset of like care about what you can control. And I get a lot of my clients to question themselves, like, is there anything I can do in this moment to make this less stressful? No. Okay, cool. Well, let's just forget about it for now. Can I do something that will make it slightly less stressful? Yes. Well, let's focus on that one thing we can change about this situation, things like that. And it's the same thing when it's about other people's thoughts. It's like you can't change what other people think about you, no matter how hard you try. Actually, if you try harder, they're probably going to like you less. And I think reminding people of those things and getting them to question their own thoughts when they're bothered about what people are saying about them. Like with me, a good question I ask myself when I get hate comments is like, would I go to this person for advice? And you go on their profile, they are
Right.
always an angry middle-aged white man that looks like he's like two breaths away from a stroke 'cause he's so red in the face. And I think, no, I don't really care what this person thinks about me, so I don't really need to care about this comment. And then when it comes to like, oh, but I want like I'm a people pleaser, like I just like keeping people happy. And one of the this is harsh, but I've said this at least to 3 people in the last few months that I'm like, well, if you're such a people pleaser, why aren't more people pleased with you? And it hits hard because actually, like, I used to be like a painful people pleaser, and more people disliked me then than now when I'm just myself. And I do think when I care for people, I do very kind things. I will do very, like, look after the people around me. But I'm not actively trying to make everybody like me. I don't care about people in general. I care about my people. And now I've got better friendships and relationships than I could ever ask for because I care about my people and not people in general. Because people please, yeah. Anyway, people pleasers often don't have many people pleased with them because they're spreading themselves too thin. And I think, again, like that's how I see the people online. I don't care about pleasing those people because they're not my people. So yes, not caring what people think about you is very generic advice, but there is so many things you can put in place so you can get to that point.
Yeah, definitely. Like, there's that's blown me away. Like the question there, and what you were saying about how you like why aren't more people pleased with you, and like spreading yourself thin. Like, it's would you rather have 100 friends or just like 10 really good,
Yeah.
riders?
You'll nurture those relationships better because you're putting, say, 10% into those 10 friends instead of 1% into each 100. Naturally, you very quickly realize as well when you start putting the energy into people, if you're getting that energy back, whether like I cut friends out very easily. And it's not something that I'm saying, like, I'm not saying it's like a brag, like it's a horrible thing to go through. It's like a breakup, if not worse, and it's not fun. But actually, like, if relationships aren't serving you, there's actually no point in using your energy, which we've all got limited energy. Like, it's hard to exist these days, especially with like if you're trying to look after yourself to any extent, even if that's just cooking for yourself every day, that's so much effort. Like, you're going to work, you're doing this, like everything, we've got so much going on. Do you really think some of your valuable time is worth putting into someone that you're getting nothing back from? And it becomes a lot easier to cut people out, to be honest.
Yeah, and like I think a chunk of it as well is like it just goes into like focusing on what you're doing. Again, really generic, but like it makes sense in my head. But it's a really random analogy. It's like just dance your dance.
Yeah.
Like, people are either going to get up with you and dance with you, or they're not. But if you think in like a club or a bar, there's people are dancing around. Do you really pay any thought to them? And like we can all like coexist well enough without getting too stressed out about why she's doing few too many ones of these.
People generally care so much less as well. And I think, like, obviously, because I have an appearance that is very easy for people to attack, and people will sometimes, but even I have worn like mad outfits. I've had much crazier hair than I have right now. If I've got like a vest on or a t-shirt, you can see insane tattoos on my arms. Obviously, I've got like a freaking 90s noughties cartoon sleeve going on. And people might second look because they're like, was that a Pokemon on my arm? Yes, it was. But no one cares and they're not going to remember me later on in that day. Like, if you
Yeah,
think about how many people we see, or even if I asked you to think about the last person who you saw fall over, unless it was like your partner or your mum or something like that, you won't even remember that, but they will remember that they fell over in front of you that day for probably the next 3 years. Sorry, I just remembered. So, I mean, I went to Brussels for my 30th with Fabian and my mum and dad, and my mum tripped over in the most cartoon way. And this is why, unless it's someone you care about, you're not going to remember this fall. But she literally was just stood at 1 minute and then she fell, and you could tell halfway through her fall and she'd give up and she knew she wasn't going to catch herself. So she just literally fell like a plank of wood and just face first onto the floor. I think about that fall at least once a week. So that's not helpful when I've just said people won't remember you falling. But if it's someone you don't know,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like, and like you said, even back to the point of like, you know, like your tattoos, for example, right?
yeah.
Are those things my thing? No, but I can massively respect you for doing that. Like, I probably wouldn't get your Mulan tattoo, for example. Probably not
Yeah.
style, not for me. But
Yep.
I can be like Sarah Chest, fair play. Like that's one of the reasons that I love you, and that's why yeah, I think you're so amazing, and just like fucking own it. Like if you're gonna do it, like don't don't nibble, chew.
Yeah, I am very much of the thought of like we do only have like one life, one body, all these things. And I think for me, I'm like, I want to live my life like I'm a walking doodle book. And I just fucking love that. And like when people are like, oh, what do tattoos mean? I'm like, it just means that I thought it was kind of fun. Like the ones here, I've got like the little dinosaur things.
Yeah,
So do you know the elastic bands that used to be like shapes of dinosaurs and you stretch them out and obviously it's just an elastic band. So I've got like loads of the elastic band looking dinosaurs all as like little gap fillers all up and down my arm. And that's so silly, but it's just I remembered them one day and I needed little gap fillers. And I was like, they were so cute. I wonder if I could like get hold of any anymore. And then I saw them online. I was like, why don't I just have them all over my body? And it's just silly, but like every time I see them, they do make me smile because they're just silly. And I just think I want to walk around like a human doodling book, but I also really respect that other people don't.
yeah. Like, and it's just that little. I think there's such value in like that like little sense of joy.
Yeah.
Classic Instagram shopping. I brought something and I got it delivered to my work, random. And I open this thing, pull out a little jar full of wooden fucks.
Oh, stop it.
And I pulled that out and I'm like, oh, put that underneath there. And like we've got it in the kitchen and it does. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm absolutely wetting myself rolling around on the floor every time I see it, but it like there's that little like little smile, little smirk to myself, and the story around it. I think it makes it so.
I think as well, there's going to be one day when like the perfect joke opportunity is going to come up for you, right? And that jar's just waiting for it. And even just in my head, I'd know I have that, and I know at some point in the next year, I'm going to have the perfect answer to say something. It's going to have me howling, and even just the anticipation of knowing that this joke will probably come up, where I get my jar of fox, right? And I just think like even that anticipation of the silly little joy is like how I like to live my life. Like I think everything's so serious, and like especially with everything that's going on in the world right now, I think yeah, I don't know. I just think the silly things are there to keep us happy.
Amazing. So, like, obviously, with your appearance and the way you are, the way you dress, tattoos, the way you live, like compared to how you started, like rewind the clock, however many years, like how do you feel like within yourself now versus then?
I feel like relieved is like such an easy word to throw out there because it was just hard work. And also I felt like I was lying a lot, especially around like work stuff, because I was like constantly being I was like sharing my food all the time and stuff and just things I don't care about. I felt like I was like lying about what like made me happy and lying about what interested me because I was like, oh, I just need to like live and breathe fitness or I can't have this business. When like if you see anything that's gym related now with me, it's normally just that I'm there and a selfie of me being like survive the gym. And then it's just my general life stuff. Like I don't feel like I'm lying all the time. And I really did feel like that. And I know I have like quite a strong sense of justice when it comes to lying. So like things I count as lying, I understand other people like don't. But for me, like any form of dishonesty is like lying. and I'm not a liar. It would really play, like, in my head quite constantly that I just felt like I was lying to everybody. So I just feel relieved, I guess.
Yeah, like it. I can relate to as well. Like kind of what we'll move on to in a second, and it's like this sense of like lie. I think for me, it's the lying to myself
Yeah,
slowly killed me.
yeah,
Just like just this like it's a bit icky, but like inauthenticity.
yeah,
It, it's like it's so important, and there's not really a better word for it. I find, but like
yeah,
it don't me, and it like if something's not feeling right, it's one of the first questions I ask myself. Like, what's inauthentic here? What's not right for me? Level, and then that allows to start unraveling and be like, oh, it's this thing, and yeah, you can then start doing something about it, which is what we want to do. So yeah, like kind of moving everything on a little bit now. Kind of over the last sort of year or so, like I was very much in the fitness industry myself, and to an extent now, but less so. In that PT world again, similar sort of realm to you, doing a bit of online coaching, in person PT as well. Now, like it's something that I kind of comes to the realization that like it wasn't for me. It wasn't
yeah.
giving me what I wanted, and I couldn't give it what I wanted to do, and I was tired, and I kind of had enough. Now we last year and Lewis and Maria's wedding. Now you said something to me. Now had it been
There'd be another thing I hadn't I don't remember.
you had done too many wines?
No, it's not even that, I just have a poor memory.
No, no. So with it, we were having a very as we often do, and it can be in. I think we were in a doorway, just a random place, and it was raining, and I was outside, so I was getting a bit wet. And you said something to me, and it was like, in theory, if someone said that to you, you'd be like, "Oh, that's quite horrible." Honestly, like you said it, and I'm like, I can't agree more with you. Like, and it's such a weird thing. But you said the best thing you did for the industry was to leave it. Mad, like it's a weird thing to say, but you say right, and it was we're coming back to this point of like inauthenticity and like almost misalignment, like, and that's what I was doing. I was just living this kind of like lie, and I looked towards at the end of my time and my tenure of like being like coaching people in that guise, and I just felt so like icky. Went back to what
Yeah.
you're saying, lied to
You
me.
weren't happy either, and, like, and when I said that thing, I do remember saying that, and I will say it again, like, I fully meant it, but I think as well, like, because it wasn't even that you were necessarily doing the industry an injustice by being in it, but you were fucking miserable. And I'd been watching you be miserable for so long. I was just like, thank goodness that you finally realized that this wasn't for you. Because I've now, since then, just watched you thrive. It
Yeah,
was said with love, but it was a horrible thing to say.
I don't even think it's a horrible thing to say. Like, I think it's incredibly true. Now, yeah, like if I think about it as well, like since kind of moving away from it, like I've had this like sense of freedom and like I relearn myself, which is like that's amazing, and I've loved it. But like when I kind of first came to this realization, like, and I'm starting to like, in hindsight's a wonderful thing. I'm starting to piece together how I kind of came to that. There's like two main things that led up to it. But when I had this realization and started to like live it out, and then I'd like kind of like gone from not knowing I was miserable to like being abundantly aware of it. I did this like snap overnight. I remember thinking, and I like it comes back to this like failure. I've wasted 5 years, and once like I look back at that now, and that was kind of like an emotional aftershock. Like it was just from the vibrations and just not knowing how to deal with it. Like I look at what I used to throw my toys at the pram over now, and it just doesn't bother me in the same way that it used to. And my way of dealing with it is so much better. Like on paper, yeah, that was a failure, but I came with it.
Just don't see it as a failure though either, because I think if you hadn't have done that, you wouldn't have realized that it wasn't for you. You wouldn't have learned so much. You wouldn't have met some of the people that you've met. It would be so easy for me to say because obviously, like, I worked in education for this, like, oh, I failed as a teacher. I didn't fail as a teacher. I realized that actually, as much as I love kids, as much as I love teaching children, working in education isn't just that. There's a lot of politics that comes around it. There's a lot of box ticking that comes with that, and that doesn't sit with me well. Technically, failed at it because I very much had to leave. Like, it wasn't, even though I could have said I had to leave for my own mental health, it's just not a failure though, because I learned how to teach people in that time, and that's essentially what I do now.
Yeah,
You know a lot about the gym space and how things work, and you're still working within the same realms. Definitely not a failure.
and it's just like being like it doesn't really bother me, but what it's called. Like you said, it's massively around the the people that I've met, the friendships that I now have, the things that I've learned. People think when there's like a breakup or something comes to an end, that's a bad thing. All you've done is just disqualify something or someone. Like, gone. Next one.
I feel like most people upon reflection can look at 99% of their relationships and be like, thank goodness that's over. Because I know that's definitely my thought process on my past relationships. So it's the same thing.
I can't. Makes me sound like a bit of a dick, but like I can't imagine a world where that's not true for me. Like, or how that's not true for everyone.
I think there's definitely some times where people have been broken up with and it's been like, I think the only example I can think of where people actually wish that they were back with their ex is when they've really fucked up and then been broken up with. And they're like, "Oh, I should have done that thing." It's all, and it's 100% their fault that it's over. Huh?
I should have done that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think they're the only times, and realistically, they kind of deserve that.
Yeah, play silly games, get silly prizes.
Exactly.
Amazing. So moving on. Now, this is something that you've spoken about a bit, but that I'm really interested in, and I've kind of been inspired to do a lot more of it because of you, and it's doing shit alone and using it kind of like as a bit of a confidence building tool of like, you want to go to the film, your friend can't make it, your friend doesn't, your friends or partner or whatever don't want to go, taking yourself up for food, coffee,
Yeah.
whatever. Do you mind opening up and talking about a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So it kind of all started when, like, I was at my worst. We already know I was fat and miserable and hating life and my job and my boyfriend at the time and everything that you could basically, I couldn't go anywhere. I didn't have any safe spaces. I was like such an anxious hunt. I couldn't even like call the doctors for myself and things like that. And then in my head, I'm like, I need to leave this partner. I need to leave this job. I need to leave all these things. I can't even ring the doctors. So I started off by doing small things. So I said to myself, right, I'm going to do something every single day that makes me feel uncomfortable. And obviously at the beginning, they were all quite minor things. So it would be like, I'm doing a workshop at a new school today. So I'm going to drive there without looking the parking up beforehand. Big stress. I'm going to ring the doctors tomorrow. I am going to answer this unknown phone call today. And they were all really things that now I wouldn't really think twice about doing. But it like started to get harder because then all of a sudden making those phone calls wasn't so difficult. Driving, not knowing where the parking was going to be didn't become so difficult. All the things that were stressing me out weren't stressing me out anymore. So I decided, Cassius, please come here. I fight this dog. He got better today, so he's now loud. So yeah, it got harder. So it started off then that I was like, okay, cool, I'm gonna get a train on my own. And literally I'd get a train, get off the train, get on the train home. And I was like, oh, so brave. And then I'd get home and have like an anxiety attack or whatever. And then it got harder and harder and harder. So then I was like, right, uh, at this point, by the time things got difficult, I had left my job, I'd left my boyfriend at the time, and I had like no one really to do stuff with because like everyone was all like loved up or had jobs, like busy humans like everyone is. And I was like, right, I've not been out for a meal in ages. I've not been to the cinema in ages. So I was like, right, I'm going to go to the cinema on my own. I threw up before I went because I was so nervous. So just to clarify, I'm not saying this is necessarily an easy process. Like my anxiety was really bad. But I went to the cinema on my own, and the cinema's the perfect start to do things on your own because it's dark. No one really cares if you've gone in on your own or not. You're not talking when you're in there anyway, so it's actually sometimes better to go on your own. Love going to the cinema on my own now. And then that was it. I started going to the cinema once a week on my own, and then when that started to get easy, I was like, right, I'm gonna go for food on my own. So I was like, right, I'm gonna go to Nando's because first of all, people can go in on their lunch grab a quick bite to eat and then leave. And that's like not seen as weird. So I made sure I went at like lunchtime to make it look like I'd been at work. Because obviously I'm overthinking, no one cares. But in my head, I'm like, I need this to look like I'm like, basically, I even dressed nicer so it looked like I'd been at work. So I dressed up all like work attire, went quickly like acting like I'm like on my lunch. So I've ordered my food at 8 and I was like, this is actually like just nice because I love people watching. Like I just got my food, ate my food, and went home. And then like over time I just went to like nicer restaurants where I have had looks of being like, oh, table for one. And you're like, yup. And I've never had a bad experience with it. I've had a few funny looks because people are like, why on earth are you coming for this meal? It's going to cost you like £80 on your own. But it was at the point where I was like, I want to experience this restaurant and I've got like no one to go with right now. So I'm going to go on my own. Then I decided that I'd try going for like an Airbnb on my own for the weekend. I did bring the dog, a little comfort blanket. So that was lovely. And then I decided to just start traveling on my own. So the first time I booked like an all-inclusive hotel. I had like the transfers from the hotel to the airport to hotel. If I needed to, I could stay in my room and eat only in that place all week because I'd paid all-inclusive, like nothing could go wrong. Obviously, I ended up venturing out, had a great time, had a lovely holiday. Then I got a bit braver with it and would go to like cities where like I mean, when I met you in Portugal, I had already decided I was staying 10 days after the event on my own. But the most like crazy part about it, and this is still blows my mind to this day, is that I didn't even book a hotel for the next 10 days. I was on night. Yeah.
Yeah.
And to be fair, that wasn't smart because obviously I booked that hotel on like night 2 or 3. And then when I was on the train from where we were staying to Lisbon, my hotel got cancelled. So I didn't actually have anywhere to stay. I did, obviously I figured it out. But even that in itself, like that would have freaked me out so much, even if I'd had like a doctor's appointment and it had been cancelled before. And now I'm in a foreign country, my hotel's been cancelled, and I'm laughing about it on the train because I'm like, oh cool, there'll be another hotel. And there was, and I went and had a good time. I went and joined a yoga studio and did yoga classes, and most of them were in English, but I joined a few that weren't just to make this at this point. I was like, it's actually hard to make myself uncomfortable. So it's like, let's do this because I don't understand Portuguese at all. So let's go to do this. And then, yeah, I definitely just, I don't even know what I can do anymore to make myself feel uncomfortable. I don't think I need to. Anxiety is a myth to me. No, it's not. I get anxiety now for no reason, just because I'm an anxious person. I don't get anxious for the things that I should anymore, which is nice. I just feel so much more in control. But doing things on your own is the best thing you can do for your confidence. It's the best thing you can do for your life anyway, because you'd never know when you could end up being on your own without a partner, without having friends. Like, you shouldn't stop living your life because you're on your own. And I wish I could like throw this into everybody's face all the time because I purposefully stayed single for like 5 years. And in that time, like I learned who I was, I learned what I like, what I don't like, what I expect in a partner, what I expect from friendships. And now I am surrounded by the most incredible people to the point where I introduce one friend to another friend and they're like, wow, you know, the best people. I'm like, this is not luck. This is a finely curated masterpiece of people that I have spent years creating. Like, this is art, is what this is. Like, the people I've got in my life. But I wouldn't have had the confidence to think I even deserve the kind of relationships that I've got now if I hadn't have spent that time building my confidence. So yeah, go to cinema on your own. It'll change your life.
That's a bit of a full circle there. Like, I remember seeing and hearing the stuff that you were posting about that. Like, that's so simple, and actually, it gets to a point where it's really convenient. If there's a film that I just want to go and see, I just go. It doesn't. It's not something that I would bat an eyelid. And like I said, that's so surface level. The amount of times that I go out for coffee by myself, I go, for like a gym and a swim by myself, and it's being, especially like for me, where I've just moved to a new city, and I'm like, okay, I could have like the safety blanket of my partner, and
Yeah.
friends that, like mutual friends and stuff like that. But it's like, actually, it's to the point now where I'm like, okay, fuck it, find out. Like, let's see how we go, and like lead, like give it a go. If you don't like it, don't do it again. Simples.
Yeah, I think as well, like, it makes you value the people in your life so much more when you know that they're in your life because you want them to be, not because you need them to be. Like, being in a position where, like, I know how perfectly fine and happy and content, like, I could have carried on being single for the rest of my life and lived a wonderful, wonderful life. Like, obviously now I also have a fantastic partner who only, like, adds to my life. It's not like I'm with someone who's bringing it down or met me at the same level. Like, we are both elevating each other's lives. I just think that I've had so many relationships before where I've been dragged down to their level, or like they've not wanted to see me succeed, or like I've settled. And I think if I hadn't have like learnt to enjoy my own company as much as I did, I'd be like, yeah, because having someone there is better than no one. Whereas I'm like, no, having no one with me is actually sick. Like, I'm so great.
The point where you start stacking these. It's a very icky personal development phrase, but like the stacking evidence, so you can't not believe it. But like, just keep proving yourself wrong. Like,
Yeah.
if you don't like this thought or belief, especially about yourself, keep improving it wrong over and over and over again, to the point where like you you feel mad,
Yeah.
deranged, that you still keep believing that thing. Wrong. It's hard. It's painful. Like, you will feel, what's the point? But
It's so worth it.
to rediscover, redefine who the hell you are.
Yeah.
It's valuable.
A lot of internal arguing. I still have to do it sometimes now, but it's a much quicker argument. But like, I used to talk down to myself and be like, "Oh, you don't deserve this, you don't deserve that." And I've got my clients doing it as well. It's just basically training your brain to argue with that voice, and it's so powerful. Like, even when it even comes to like looking at your body sometimes, and you're like, "Oh, I look like shit," and then I argue myself like I'm arguing with a 2-year-old, and I'm like, if like, well, shouldn't argue with a 2-year-old like this, but I would. I'd be like, "Who the fuck are you talking to?" Like, this is the blah blah, and I just argue all my negative thoughts so that like they get quieter. Mm, but yeah, it's crazy. I think people see me now and just assume that I've always been confident and that I've always just been able to do things, that I've always been able to, like, I wouldn't answer my own phone. And I wouldn't answer my phone to people I knew if I wasn't prepared for them ringing. If they did text me and be like, "Oh, do you fancy a call in half an hour?" I'd be like, "Yes, I could make myself feel okay for that." Like, this hasn't just been a light switch moment for me, or like how I was born. Like, I was an absolute shit show, like, of a person. Like, I was not living life. I was barely leaving the house. Like, it does take a lot of work, and you're right, it's not easy, but it's easily the best thing I've ever done.
I think that is a perfect place to end and start wrapping things up. Thank you so much. Honestly, it's really like, even if it's just like simple stuff that we've gone through today, like where it starts to make more sense. And like you said, you're very good at then putting like the practical action step into it. And that's one of about a million reasons that I wanted you on. And like I had the idea for changing lens. And I was like, firstly, it's the first time I've ever been able to name something that I of my own and just stick with it, because I'm like, there's something in that. So like fly. There's a few people that I've had on recently, are like, you know, who do I want to talk to? What do I want to talk about? And like, you were in, the first like handful of people, and I was like, I can't not do this and not
Yeah.
have one of my first people. So yeah, thank you for being you. Thank you for
Having me.
the whole how do you end a podcast question. Where can people find you?
Instagram, because and Threads, because I love annoying people on Threads. But if you want helpful things or just general dog pictures in life, Instagram is pbfitness_1. It's the same on Threads, but I just chat shit on there and really annoy people, and it's really fun.
Amazing. Thanks so much.